Look at me doing a Patreon request video and not changing the request idea entirely. Hey there, creepy peeps. So one of my patrons, Colleen, requested that I do a video talking about movies that I have changed my thoughts on. And she suggested it as like a either in a good way or a bad way or both kind of situation. And I thought that idea was pretty incredible. I love talking about stuff like that. One thing I love about being a fan of movies, books, art is finding something new about it when revisiting. I think keeping the same exact opinion about any single thing ever for your entire life is bizarre. There are some things that you should definitely change your mind about and should be encouraged to maybe change your mind about. I also really love Letterboxd. I'll just gush for a second because of the whole like diary function. Because sometimes I rate a movie higher or lower because of the atmosphere, because of the experience when I watched it, because of the mindset I was in when I watched it. I like being able to see that. I try and be very honest with my star ratings. Like if I change my mind about a movie, I will be transparent about that. So for this video, I'm going to exclusively talk about movies that I changed my mind about on like the positive end of things. So movies that I didn't like the first time I watched it and then have since grown fond of or even really liked after subsequent viewings. And the only reason I'm not going to go in the other direction because when I was scouring my Letterboxd and looking at movies that I had rated differently, most of the ones that were on the negative end, like me changing my mind about, were does this offend you picks. So like the reasoning would have been the same for like every single one of them. So in no particular order, the first one I'm going to talk about is The Taking of Deborah Logan, which follows a student filming a mother and daughter for her thesis documentary about Alzheimer's patients when strange and violent things start to happen around Deborah. I love how my channel has progressed since I started YouTube because I feel like I can fully be myself and be open. I now have no problem admitting I really was a found footage hater for no good reason back in the day. Granted, that genre is still hit or miss for me, but I definitely made it out like I hated every single found footage horror movie when the truth is it's like I like just as many found footage movies as I dislike. But there was a time when I made it my job to be a found footage hater, and The Taking of Deborah Logan was in the line of fire during this time. I still don't love The Taking of Deborah Logan. I think it walks a very fine line between being like a nuanced portrayal of aging and the fear of death and seeing somebody you love deteriorate like that, and one of those like, oh my god, it's scary because she's old and she's acting weird, ew. But I will happily admit that I definitely gave this movie a harder time the first time I watched it than I think it deserved. Next on my list is Society, which follows great value John Stamos as a teenager who finds out his family is a part of a secret society of body morphing monsters. This is a rare does this offend you switch in the positive direction. I think the shock of seeing Society for the first time and not really knowing what I was getting into really clouded my perception of the movie and my rating overall. Again, I don't love this movie now. I'm not like a Society super fan, but I feel like I was able to appreciate the message and the themes of the movie a lot more, and the intense, like crazy practical effects this time around, because I went in already knowing what to expect and the kind of like shock horror of seeing everything happen. I had passed that point. Next on my list is Underwater, which takes place more than 6 miles below the ocean's surface when a drilling station is destroyed and the crew have to find a way to survive. This one was a case of a group movie night changing my perception and just changing the atmosphere around the movie. We watched this for a Patreon movie night, and somehow just watching with a group and seeing everyone's reactions to like the monsters and the fear of the dark and the fear of the deep ocean and the whatever it's called, the fear of like large objects underwater or large creatures underwater that I can absolutely relate to because it's fucking terrifying. Like seeing everyone's reaction to that, like a group reaction to that feeling, I kind of fed off of it, and I found the enjoyment in watching that movie. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I posted a review of Underwater when it first came out. I didn't look to see, so I don't know if I did, and like I don't know what my mindset was about this movie, to be honest, when I first saw it, but I think I gave it like a 1 star the first time I saw it. So I don't know, I was going through something maybe. I'm probably just not in the mood. That happens a lot. You'll see that later on in this video. All right, this next one is perfect for Pride Month. Actually, the last one was too, because Case do. But anyways, The Old Dark House follows a group of people that find themselves stranded in an old mansion and its strange inhabitants during a thunderstorm. Now, do things immediately become better because of their gayness? Maybe. Maybe. I'm not gonna say a definitive no, but I rewatched The Old Dark House for my horror education series, put on my rainbow colored glasses, so to speak, and going into a movie with an intentional like lens you're gonna look through, I think is a really fun kind of experiment to do. And it's interesting to see how my thoughts and perceptions on a movie changes by intentionally like changing, I keep doing this, intentionally changing the lens through which I'm watching the movie. That, and when I went into that review as well, I had done a lot more research on the movie, the director's intentions for the movie, so like in the humor and the campiness that went into it to kind of convey this intended message. And I think that helps as well, because director's intent sometimes matters to your viewing of a film, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. Those things can exist separately, but knowing the director's intent for this movie definitely found me having a better time watching it. And I saved what I think is the starkest difference for last, and that is The Dark and the Wicked, which follows 2 siblings who return home to their ailing parents to find that something evil has taken hold of their farm. Classic case of me just not fucking being in the mood to watch a movie. Maybe I was just too distracted, like feeling kind of antsy and not able to like sit still. Wasn't in the mood for this type of movie. It's a slower burn. Whatever it was, I was just not in the mood, like completely not in the mood. And at this point in time, with me posting videos on YouTube, I did not yet know better to just post another review, just make another video in place of this. And instead I sat down fully knowing I was not in the mood to watch it, watched the movie, and then put up a a review of this film, which honestly kind of wasn't fair. My feelings in that moment of like, you know, I was in a certain type of mood and I watched that movie and I just didn't like it in that mood, that's still valid, but I don't think it was like fair to be like, I knew I wasn't gonna have a good time watching this. The second time I watched it, however, I really made a point to set the scene. I waited till it was late at night, turned off all the lights, put away my phone, and the movie was way scarier. I think the one thing that did hold between both viewings is that I wasn't particularly fond of the ending. Felt like the ending was a little bit anticlimactic, but everything else, it might as well have been a different movie I watched, like a completely different film. Of course, let me know what movies you changed your mind on in the comments, either negative or positive. I actually did this video about 2-ish years ago, so you can check that video out. I'll go ahead and link it there. I didn't watch it, so I don't know if there are any repeat movies between these 2 videos. I guess apologies if I just remade the same video over again. I will see you soon with some new content. Until then, stay strange. Bye.